Okay, so welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about John 2. That blessed my whole entire soul when I went through it, especially for me whenever Jesus says, "My hour has not come." And just knowing that there is a divine timing that God does things in our life. And we already know that, but it just hit me a little bit different 2 weeks ago. And that has been stuck with me up until now. Up until now. So if this video is helpful, make sure that you hit the like button and subscribe. We're going to jump right into it. And I'm going to read some of the verses for this particular chapter. And I'm going to start at verse 3. So it's John 2, verse 3, right? So it says, when the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, "They have no more wine." "Woman, why do you involve me?" Jesus replied, "My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Nearby stood 6 stone water jars, the kind used by the Jews for ceremonial washings, each holding from 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus said to the servants, "Fill the jars with water." So they filled them to the brim. Then he told them, "Now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet." They did so, and the master of the banquet tasted the water that had been turned into wine. He did not realize where it come from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew. Then he called the bridegroom aside and said, "Everyone brings out the choice wine first, and then the cheaper wine after the guests have had too much to drink. But you have said, save the best to now." So that was 3 through 10 that I read to you. So why is the book of John, it's actually a good book. I'm going to just give you a few things. Why does the book of John matters? Okay, it records Jesus' first public sign and his first public confrontation, which is also found in chapter 2. Okay, it reveals Jesus' divine timing, the power of obedience, and the authority of Christ over worship. And that's why it is so important that you read and reread and reread, study your word, the Bible. Do not get to a place where you're just relying on other people to tell you what the Bible is saying, because just because it may have said that for that particular person, you don't know what and how God is going to reveal something to you for your life. Just making sure that you're praying before you're reading, making sure that you're listening to the Holy Spirit during your time of reading and not yourself. Okay. So John Gospel calls miracle signs because they point to who Jesus is, not just what he does. Okay. So I always tell a lot of people whenever they start reading their Bibles, of course, starting from Proverbs, but John and Genesis is a good start. Those 3 are a good start, right? So let's talk about the wedding. For me, like I said, that one statement, even though I heard it a million times, it just stuck with me in a different way right now. Especially with me doing the things that I'm doing for God, but also not understanding it where I'm at in life right now. So the crisis was that they ran out of wine at the wedding, right? They have no wine. Wine, what did that represent? And that's why I said study, because you need to know what these things represented back in those days, and why are they in the Bible. Everything that's in the Bible is for a reason. Wine represented joy, provision, and celebration. Running out of wine would have been public shame and failure, which would show us, if you study it, that human resources run out and religious systems fall short. Mary brings the problem to Jesus, a model of faithfulness. Anything Jesus does, it does not run out. If your foundation is built on God, it is going to be stabilized. Not to say that we're not going to have struggles and hard times, no. But just building your life faith, building your life with God will bring you peace while you're building that thing. When you're confused, he will give you clarity. Right? So, whenever Jesus says, "My hour has not yet come," what does this mean? Okay, so his mother said, "Woman, what does your concern have to do with me? My hour has not yet come." What my hour means in John's gospel, it refers to his divinely appointed time for his death, his rising, and glorification. Jesus is saying, I operate on heaven time, not on human time. And I think that is why that has stuck with me, because I'm in a situation right now where I'm just like, okay, God, when is it my time? Or when are you going to allow me to do this or do this? And nothing has opened up yet. So I know that my time has not come, even to the point of looking for a job. I'm looking, and I had to stop this week because it's just, I know he blocked it, right? But I'm still trying to do something and putting applications out there. So whenever my time to go back to work, if that's what he wants me to do, at least I'll have options, if that makes sense to you. So whatever you're believing for God for right now, maybe, not even maybe, your time has not come yet. God works on his time, not ours. He see our tears. And yes, we cry because it gets hard and we're trying to figure it out. But that doesn't move him. He's not going to go and out of order to please you. He's not going to go out of order to please you. Okay, so if that's the case, that Jesus said, "Woman, why do you concern me with that? My time has not yet come." Right? Why did he still perform the miracle? Why did he still act? He responds to faith. He reveals his glory in stages throughout that chapter, right? Delay does not mean denial. God can work now, even if the full promise is later. So why did he respond even though he said it's not his time? He was responding to Mary's faith. She said, "Jesus, they're out of wine." And he says, "My hour has not come." And then she says, "Do whatever he tells you to do." So that was a faith statement. Even though Jesus said, "Hey, look, my time isn't yet. My time isn't yet." She heard that. But she still said, "Do whatever he says," which allow us to know that she had faith in her son to do something. So he had to respond to his mother. That's why he still acted. We want immediate answers. But Jesus in that particular chapter teaches us timing, process, and purpose. And he's not going to go out of order for that. Anything that he does in our life is to benefit us, but also so he can get the glory. Right? Let's talk about faith, Mary's faith statement. Whatever he says to you, do it. Whatever he says to you, do it. And that's how it's supposed to work in our lives too. Whatever he says to us, we are to do it. We are to obey it. Even if it costs us something. We are to obey what he's saying. She doesn't argue. She doesn't demand it. She positions others for obedience. This is the posture that releases miracles. What is the posture that releases miracles? Not arguing. God said it, do it. You can't demand anything from him. She positions others for obedience. So when she said, whatever he says to you, do it, She put them in a position so that they could obey whatever Jesus was going to do by using her faith statement. And in return, even though he said he wasn't going to do it, his hour has not come, he had to still respond to faith. So right now you're believing God for something, but you're not understanding why you haven't received it yet, because you're not giving any movement. You're not truly believing that God can do that thing. You're not. God has to respond to that faith movement or whatever you're speaking out of your mouth in faith. He has to respond to it. The Bible says that his word does not return to him void. And God is a God that he cannot lie. So once again, because it blew my mind when I thought about whatever he says to you, do it. He had to respond, even though he said, my hour has not yet come. Okay, so let's move on. The servant's obedience, the instructions. Fill the water pots with water. Water pots used for ceremonial cleaning. Jesus uses empty religious vessels for something new. They fill them to the brim, complete obedience. Jesus uses empty religious vessels to fill something new. Here's the thing. You're trying to get Jesus to be okay with the way that you are, right? You're trying to get Jesus to fill new wine into already old vessels. It doesn't work that way. You have to be a new vessel. You got to be clean. All things are passed away, right? So you cannot bring that old version of yourself into this new version that God is trying to create you to be. There's a new you over here, but you're trying to bring all that baggage. You don't want to let anything go. You want to stay stuck and stagnated in the same mindset, the mind frame. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You have to empty yourself. Deny your flesh. Right? Okay, let's move along. The test of faith. Draw some out now and take it to the master of the feast. The servants had no proof yet. They obeyed before seeing the miracle. So when you study that section of the chapter, you will see they didn't know what to do. First of all, I could imagine that the water pots were very heavy. I don't know if it took 2, 3, 4 people to transfer that stuff with all that water in it. It didn't give all the instructions of how to do it. He just said, do it. He just said, fill the water pots. He didn't give all the instructions surrounding that. And that's how it is for us. He will tell us to do something and we'll stop and like, God, how are we supposed to do this? Because we don't have any money. We don't have anything to do it with. But you are to use what you can in order to start what God is telling you to do. He didn't give you that thing to do or to let that thing, he didn't ask you to let that thing go without providing you with some type of assistance or grace, covering you in order to get that thing done. Right? They went in, filled the water pots, blindsided. And we're to do the same thing. If God called you to build a business, God, how I'm going to do that? It's not how I'm going to do that. You should be asking God, give me the wisdom and the knowledge and understanding how to carry out your will, how to carry out this business that you gave me. And whatever you can work on now, work on that now. Because it's after you take the first step and complete it, the next step and complete it, the next step and complete it. That is how it will unfold. He's not going to give you everything at once. Draw some out now and take it to the master of the feast. The servants had no proof yet. They obey before seeing the miracle. Breakthrough often comes after obedience, not before. Not before. God may ask you to serve, give, forgive, step out on faith, but before you see the results, He's going to ask you to do those things before you see the results. Now, what are some things that I just said He may ask you to do? Serve, give, forgive, and step out on faith. He will ask you to do those things before you see any results. Whatever God does, whatever Jesus does, He does not do it with imperfection, right? So He's got to clean you up. He's got to train you. He got to get those old behaviors out of you. He has a lot of things that He has to work out in us. Stuff that we learn, He got to actually teach us how to unlearn it, how to let go of things and walk into newness, right? So obedience is the bridge between instructions and transformation. And a lot of us are not being transformed because we don't want to follow instructions. We don't want to be obedient. We want to do partial obedience, which means that it's still no obedience at all. You're half doing it. God didn't half wake you up this morning, right? Let's talk about Jesus clears the temple. What was happening in the temple? The outer courts, which was the courts of the Gentiles, right, were turned into a marketplace, a profit center, and worship had become transactional. A business deal, just like some of the churches here now. Access to God was being blocked. That is the same thing that you're seeing going on right now as we speak. And that is why it is so vital for you to get in your word, because everything that is happening or happened in the Bible, you can see right now in the real world on this earth is reality. Right? So, let's move on. Don't make my Father's house a house of merchandise. It's what Jesus said. Do not make my Father's house a house of merchandise. Now, this was not a loss of control. It wasn't just a anger issue, right? It wasn't an anger issue. It was a holy zeal. And that is what we're to have as well. When you see things that are wrong, you are to come against it, but not the kind of anger where you're trying to embarrass somebody or you want to fight. No, you should be angry to no, not even angry. You should have a holy zeal about our Father. The things that He loves, we love. The things that He hate, we hate. When we see people using their platforms or churches as a place of business, which a lot of people are doing, but there's nothing we can do about it. We can pray about it. You can tell people about it, but just don't allow yourself to be what you see happening. Like the people that God is raising up right now, I think that He's raising up people that's actually after His heart and not about money. And not that we don't need money and paying your tithes. I'm all for that. But some pastors, some leaders, some deacons, ministers have gotten to this place of greed, right? They done forgot about what the word said. So now it's greed. We see it all the time. That's why whenever that whole thing was going on with Drewski, I had nothing to say about it because it's not like it's a lie, right? I witnessed it. It's not like it's a lie. Tell the truth and shame the devil. Okay, so that what Jesus did in the temple, it is not like He had a loss of control. No, He had a holy zeal. He was angry. He loved His Father's house. And the things that they were using His temple for were against what Jesus stood for. Jesus was defending God's honor and people access to God. That is what was going on in that one. right? Zeal for your house has consumed me. Verse 17. That is quoted from Psalms. Jesus is passionate about pure worship. He is both lamb at the wedding and the lion in the temple. He is both the lamb at the wedding. The same Jesus that turned water into wine is the same Jesus that was the lion in the temple, because he had so much, he has zeal. He loved God. He loved the temple. And how dare you use it for your purpose, your business purpose, your getting you're getting business by using those most vulnerable, those that were coming to the temple to pray or seek God. You know what you was doing. And that is the same way today. Like, people come to church because they need a word, healing, and the things that they're believing for. And then you have pastors that intentionally in their heart that you're not really helping. You need the bodies so you can get the finances, but you are to still pay your tithes and your offering, okay? You can't worry about what the pastor is doing. That is between God and that pastor. God is going to deal with that person. But at the same time, it's just a shame how people don't have that zeal for God and really and truly love him, but you're using his temple as a place of business instead of worship and honestly helping people from the heart, right? So what does this mean for us today? We are now God's temple. Jesus still cleanses, motivates attitudes, and compromise. He overturns pride, performance-based faith, and religious systems without relationship. Jesus still cleanses. You have to remember that. What does he cleanse? People who compromise, attitudes, and people motives. Jesus will disrupt what distracts us from true worship. Jesus transforms what is empty and removes what is impure. So some questions that you can ask yourself today is this: am I willing to obey before I understand? Can I trust God's timing when my hour feels delayed? Is my heart a place of worship or distraction? What might Jesus want to overturn in your life? That's why it is so important for you to be self-aware of the things that's going on in your life, the things that's going on in your heart, even to the point of what you're listening to, what you're watching, what you're feeding yourself. When we trust his time and obey his voice and allow him to cleanse our hearts, we position ourselves for transformation, not just for miracles. And a lot of people are just so stuck and bent out on miracles that their heart is really not transformed. I did a video that there's a difference between Christian and disciples. Christians just say his name. I believe in Jesus. But true disciples, you follow and model his ways. I hate what he hates, and I love what he loves. So a lot of things that's going on in the earth right now should be grieving you as well. Especially when it comes to humans. It's not enough love. The church is bound to their full walls, and it is what it is. But we as true disciples, you are to do and model just as Jesus. Even if that means go out to the highways and bypasses. Make sure that you're speaking about Jesus. Make sure you're telling about God. Make sure you're telling your testimonies. Make sure you're uplifting others. But more importantly, making sure that you love your neighbor. Even if that neighbor does not have the same skin color as you. Or even if that neighbor is not wealthy. Okay? So if this information is beneficial to you, just make sure that you hit the like button and share it to somebody. It may help somebody. And make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Until next time, have a good one.